So recently, I picked up this iPhone 13 Pro Max, but after having it for a few hours, I noticed a problem. I also own the iPhone 13 Pro, and for whatever reason, this phone was much brighter than this phone, which makes no sense since they should both have the same amount of brightness. But the issue goes a little bit deeper than that for me. Stay tuned to the video. What's up, people? This your boy Viper, the man about tech, the absolute. Back again for the video. And if you're new here, I help you better understand and connect with the technology around you. So if that's something that you're interested in, go down there, thumbs it up, hit that subscribe button, because nobody else is cutting your tech videos like a WWE promo. So, as I said in my intro, I recently brought the iPhone 13 Pro Max, and I noticed that for whatever reason, it is not as bright, or it wasn't as bright as the iPhone 13 Pro that I also own. So I knew that it came down to a matter of auto brightness or whatever. At least that's what I thought initially. But when I went into the settings, the display settings, everything looked the same on both phones, so I didn't really think nothing of it. So a few days passed, and I'm like, all right, this is really getting on my nerves. I need to figure out why this phone is so much brighter than my iPhone 13 Pro. I knew even though I looked at the display settings and everything looked okay as far as brightness levels and all that stuff, I knew that there had to be some type of auto brightness thing going on that maybe I couldn't figure out or whatever. So I Googled iPhone 13 Pro auto brightness, and come to find out, there is an auto brightness toggle buried in the iPhone settings, in the accessibility settings. Why? Apple, why is this a thing? Why do you make iOS settings so complicated and unintuitive when you are supposed to have the most intuitive, easy to use OS on planet Earth? So in order to access the auto brightness toggle, you have to go into settings, into accessibility, and then into display and text size, and then, and only then, will you locate the elusive auto brightness toggle. Now, as a person that uses both iOS and Android, this really perplexes me, because when I'm on my Android phone, which I have the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, if I go into the settings there, and then I go into the display settings, right there in the display settings of the Android is the auto brightness toggle. I know, right? Novel concept. Right there, no burying, digging for buried gold. The auto brightness toggle is right where it should be on Android. But in iOS, I don't understand. It's not there. I feel like I'm Captain Jack Sparrow of the Pirates of the Caribbean trying to find the auto brightness toggle for the iPhone. What is this? But the problem is, it's not just this setting that is crazy. I don't know how many of you all are aware, but accessing settings on iOS is vastly different from accessing settings on Android. Why? Because the settings on Android are located inside the actual relevant applications. Unlike iOS, where if you want to change settings of any application, you got to go to the general iOS settings application, which is unintuitive, cumbersome, and crazy. Not to mention the fact that for whatever reason with iOS, even though we have a whole control center that we can literally access from anywhere in iOS, you cannot put a settings toggle in the control center. So you still have to back out of whatever application that you are in on iOS, go out and then go to the iOS settings application to change settings for a particular iOS app. How have we been iOSing for over a decade, and this is still how settings are done? I mean, Apple and Samsung and Android, you steal from each other constantly. How have you not stole the settings blueprint from Android, Apple? I don't understand. It is so much easier and so much more intuitive on Android, but in Apple, you gotta have a PhD in archaeological coding to figure out settings on iOS on the supposedly easier OS. It makes no sense. Somebody make it make sense to me. So when people ask me, Viper, captain of Team Apple, what would you like to see Apple implement for iOS 16? Here it is. I want more intuitive, easy settings. I want iOS applications to put these settings inside of the relevant applications instead of me having to go to a general settings app, because that makes little sense to me. Maybe it's just me because I've used Android a lot, but it would seem like, at least to me, that it would be a lot easier that if I wanted to change camera settings, I should do that from within the camera application. If I want to change iMessage settings, I should be able to change them from within iMessage. If I want to change photo settings, I should be able to change them from within the Photos app. But this is not the case on iOS. I don't know why, but iOS team, Tim Cook, understand the assignment, get it done.